Shalom. All right, this is your brother Samat coming to you with another lesson, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. So, all right, this lesson is going to be about, it's not a matter of if, but when, going into the Lord's promise and what giving us the kingdom, to establishing us in a righteous world, a righteous kingdom, a righteous rulership, and giving us ultimately perfection of the spirit with his new spiritual body. And as prophecies go on, as you're on your watch, you're watching what's going on, it's becoming more prevalent that the Most High is beginning to visit this place. Pursuing the second Ezra, I want to say 7 or 8. But I get confused. But it's second Ezra is one of their first early chapters. But it pretty much goes into how when you shall see earthquakes in diverse places and famines and floods and so on and so forth. And when you start to see these prophecies come to pass, then you'll know that the Most High, has begun to visit the earth which he made, and the Most High is beginning to visit this place. All right, you just had that earthquake in Venezuela. Which was some controversy behind that. It's basically the people was basically enchanting, to evil spirits, basically, to usher in the earthquake, and it came. Whether it was Esau but all things are ordained by the Most High, so it doesn't really matter, nonetheless. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. This is Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet appointed for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right. So the Most High is going to promise. He has made a promise unto our forefather Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and essentially just to ourselves, right, throughout our history. The Most High has made a promise that he would he would give the kingdom unto Israel, and he has done that. Essentially, he hasn't done it firsthand, but the Most High is he's not slack concerning his promise, right? He's not slack. The Most High has, like I said, these things were set for appointed time, so we just have to wait for the time. But the time we're in now, it makes sense because we know that there was that great falling away where the Israelites lost their identity. Well, we lost our identity for a long period of time. In slavery under Esau, Edom, in America, and all the places we were scattered. And then you had the Great Awakening during the 50s, 60s, essentially. And this Israelite truth has skyrocketed over the last, I want to say 20 years. Really when, the last 15, 20 years when the internet went popping, which was also prophesied. So, we just have to endure, bro. There's really not much for us to do at this point, but to continue to work on ourselves, to continue to get right with the Lord, and self-examine, self-evaluate, fix any prides and any character flaws that you may have, and just honestly just try to walk in the best that you can. Understand that we're in captivity. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time, but you have to do your best. You have to try to shoot 100% from the field. It's about the effort that you put in. It's about the sacrifices that you make. And it's about the patience that you have, right? Because all those things, they show your faith. You have to prove your faith to the Most High. Anybody can say they have faith, but they have to prove that they have that faith. That's why the Most High says we have to be patient. We have to wait, and we have to endure. Blessed are those that endure unto the end. Hebrews 2, 10-35 to 37. It says, cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. For ye have need of patience, that after ye done the will of the Most High, ye might receive the promise. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry. So the Most High will not tarry, bro. It may seem like it's taking a long time, but understand the Most High does not operate on the same principles and wavelength as us, bro. The Most High's time, his energy, his space, time is different, man. That's why when you go in 2 Peter, it goes into how a day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. So one day here on earth is like, one day in the Lord's realm and in His heaven is like 1,000 years here on earth, man. So it's nothing to the Lord. So we just have to be patient, man. We have to be patient. We have to endure unto death. Even if that means we got to labor in this truth, God forbid, Yahweh forbid, for another 40, 50 years, man. And then we give up the ghost. And then the Lord come back, you know what I mean? So Yahweh forbid, though. But, we have hope that we'll be out in this life of ours in a very near future. We don't believe that we'll make it past another 5 years in America under this rulership of this world, because we know that Esau is the end of this world, Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And the beginning of Jacob is going into righteous rulership, peace, prosperity, eternal life, being at one with the earth again, the earth yielding its full fruit, the foods and the soil is going to be rich, and the water is going to be full of life. You know what I mean? No more stresses and death and sorrow is going to be swallowed up, bro. For the elect, for the Israelites. But the heathen will be blessed on our rulership as well, because the earth is going to be blessed. So therefore, they'll be blessed by default, but in the flesh, right? They'll be blessed with a peaceful world. They'll be blessed with fresh food and clean water full of life. They'll be blessed with righteous laws and righteous judges, right? You don't have to worry about having a corrupt government anymore. You don't have to worry about having, a BS society that is just inconducive to life. You know what I mean? Work, pay bills, grow old, die, And, we have to continue to have his confidence in the Lord, bro. We got to have the confidence the Most High, pursuing the Hebrews 11, right, that he is, right, 11:6, that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. We got to, because without faith, it's impossible to please the Lord. And part of our faith is endurance, bro. And not only endurance, but sincere endurance, bro. Because you can endure for, the wrong reasons, you know what I mean? Not really be in it. You kind of just straddle on the fence. And, eventually the Most High is going to take that spirit off you if you're not really sincere. But you don't want to be lukewarm. You want to be on fire for this truth. However that fire looks like for you, but you want to make sure that you're living this truth. You're living this life. You really mean what you say, and you say what you mean. Okay. You're occupied in prophecy. You're occupied in prayer. Consistently. You're walking in the spirit. You're being a doer of the word, not a hearer only. You know what I mean? You're actually practicing these precepts that you read. When you read Proverbs and Sirach and all these wisdom scriptures, you actually attempt to apply those to your life. So this is James 5:7-8. It says, "Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Be also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh." You know what I mean? So we have to, establish our hearts. You know what I mean? Be rooted, be grounded. Matthew 6, Yahweh talked about where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. So our heart needs to be in the kingdom of heaven and on godly spiritual things and not things of this world, right? Because the man that warth, he doesn't entangle himself with the fears of this life. Yeah, we have responsibilities. We have obligations and things like that, but we don't get wrapped up in these things to the point where they take us away from the truth. You know what I mean? We're not going to sit here and take a hiatus from doing the work because we need to focus on our business. We're not going to take weeks or months off of teaching just so we can focus on studying for a job. No, we're going to continue to be in the spirit regardless of what we do. You start that business, but guess what? You're still going to camp. You're still doing your lessons. You're still doing your studies. You're still doing your prayers. You're still walking in the spirit. You're still observing the commandments to the best of your ability. You know what I mean? You're still hopeful. All right. You don't have love and desire for substance in this world. Yeah, although you might strive to make your situation a little better, that's fine, perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have hope and trust in any of these things of this world. All our hope and trust is in the kingdom and Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know what I mean? We plant seeds in the spirit and we wait for the Most High to nourish those spirits. All right, we wait for the Most High to grow those spirits, but we do what? We nourish it daily. You know what I mean? And it's patience. You plant a seed, you nourish it, you feed it, you water it, you give it, all those things, and you just patiently wait for it to sprout. And then you might see the leaves and the stems starting to grow and the tree grow, but you still got to wait for it to bear fruit. Romans 4:13 and 11 and 12, it says, "And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, For now is our salvation nearer than we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Right? Our salvation is closer than we think. All right. We like to put, a certain estimate and timeline, and we never know for sure. It could be longer, it could be sooner, but it's going to come right at the right time. You know what I mean? The Most High is going to come right on time, bro. And it says that the Most High is to speed up the time for the elect's sake, or no flesh shall be saved. So we know that time is going to be speeding. I mean, shit. Look at how it's 2026. It's July already, bro. We just got into 2026 last month, bro. I obviously not literally, but time is flying, bro. Time is flying. So the Most High he's getting ready to make a speedy riddance of this place, bro. So all you got to do is have faith and endure, bro. You got to endure, bro. Be rooted, be grounded. Find stability, bro. If you feel unbalanced and you feel unstable, you need to get it together, Jake. All right. Fix your imperfections, fix your flaws, overcome your temptations, become a stronger man, bro. This is the time to really lock in on spirit maxing, kingdom maxing, if you will. Right? That's the latest thing nowadays. Is maxing, is whatever, looks maxing, physique maxing, health maxing, whatever. Basically just maxing out your stats in a certain area of your life. So we are maxing out our stats in the spirit, and maxing out us, and by default, maxing out our stats in the spirit will simultaneously help max our stats out in health and physique and things like that, because they all go together. If you're perfecting in the spirit, guess what? You're going to have a godlike mentality. So you're going to take good care of your temple. You're going to have very careful of what you consume, not only physically but mentally, right? So, you'll be growing in knowledge. You'll be healthier because you'll be eating clean, and you'll be practicing fasting more, and temperance and restraint, things like that. You'll be in the gym, staying strong, staying fit. So, all those categories will max out, you know what I mean? So it's going to help you in your walk in endurance and this truth. And we're going to end off here with Revelations 5:3-11. Behold, I come quickly, hold fast that which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And a good one to precept with that is Revelations 12, where it goes into how if you endure unto the end, the Most High will give you a crown. If you endure unto death or be faithful unto death, the Most High will give you a crown of life. All right, so hey, be faithful unto death, man. Love not your life here in this world, bro, because this world is shit, bro. You're miserable, so there's no point of even sitting here and loving this world, bro. You're miserable, Jake. You try to sit here, the more you try to cling to this world and this life, the more miserable you are. Yahweh Shah said that when you shall know the truth shall make you free. So when you come to know this truth and you become free from the matrix, if you will, all right, you become free of the pollution that it has to offer. You become free from the rat race. You know what I mean? You pretty much just learn to enjoy the moment and not be so bent on the future, because now you're just living for the moment, because at any moment, the Most High can come back. All right. So that's pretty much the point. Lord willing, this video and lesson was edifying to you brothers and to you sisters. Till next time, shalom.